Hey, if you've purchased or are thinking about purchasing Allure flooring, I want to show you where you can find some installation instructions so that you know how to install it properly. Now, one of the sites you might not know about is a site called mydiygenius.com. And the way you get to it, I'll go ahead and type the URL below here. But basically, the homepage looks like this. And it's mydiygenius.com, and you can actually go to the support center, which brings up this blog area here. And right now the Gripstrip installation instructions happens to be at the top of the page, but that will likely change by the time you view this. So in order to find it, you can go to installation and you can just scroll down and find what you need there. There are all sorts of really helpful articles here on this blog regarding Allure and Ceramica and a lot of different products. So up top here we found the how to install TrafficMaster allure, the Gripstrip version. And here are the installation instructions. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. And it brings us to this article here. And this article has all sorts of information. It also has something called a quick start guide that you can just download and print out. So it's not the actual official manual, but it's a shorter guide to get you started here. So we're going to go ahead and download that by clicking that button. And it brings up this sheet, and of course you can print this off so you can have it with you. But I just wanted to spend a few minutes and just go through this quick start manual and highlight some of what I believe are the most important points in this. And it starts off talking about, before you begin, you've got to know your limitations. And I think that's especially important if you want to get the job right the first time and you don't want to have to lift up the planks again or have to repeat your efforts. So I think it's really important to read these limitations first. One thing that it notes is that Allure is only for interior installations, and the environment has to be temperature controlled. So it's not really something you want to be installing on porches or in camping trailers or boats. Any place where the temperature is not controlled is not a great place to install Allure. And that's mainly because they use adhesive on that grip strip, and if you put it in certain environments where it goes below 55 degrees Fahrenheit or above 85 degrees Fahrenheit, that can actually cause the adhesive to fail, which will cause buckling of the flooring and lifting and all sorts of bad things that you just don't want to deal with. So it's important to really install it in the correct place. You don't want to install it in direct sunlight. It's not intended for stairs or cabinets or vanities. And you want to make sure that, since this is a floating floor, of course you don't want to nail it down or glue it down to the subfloor. You want to allow it to be able to contract and expand itself, and that's why they call it a floating floor. So again, before you begin, read this section here to know your limitations. That way you avoid a lot of headache in the future. And not only that, but you want to be able to preserve your warranty. Now the second step, it talks about gathering your necessary tools and materials. And you see here it calls for a utility knife, straight edge, measuring tape, sharp shear or tin snips for cutting around irregular objects. You want those 1/8 inch or 1/4 inch spacers, hand roller, and 75 to 100 pound floor roller. We'll mention this later on, but especially the hand and floor roller, it's really essential to make sure you apply the proper pressure to allow for the grip strips to really adhere to each other so that they don't unstick and start to buckle on you later on. So it's really important that you do apply the appropriate amount of pressure, and here it really spells it out for you to use a hand roller, to use a 75 to 100 pound floor roller. You want to make sure that those grip strips are sealed and properly adhered to each other. Now here you see it gives you a chart of the materials you need, how many planks you might need. So be sure to measure your room so you know how many cartons you'll need of the product. And in the next section, it talks about preparing for installation, and this is a huge point. A lot of people miss this, and it ends up in a lot of headache later, is they don't condition their allure planks properly. So what you need to do is you take your boxes of planks and tiles, and you need to acclimate them in the same room that you're going to install them in for at least 48 hours, with the temperature in there being between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's before and during and after the installation. Also, you want to make sure that your HVAC is turned on for at least 2 weeks before the installation. And when you store them, put them in a dry area away from direct sunlight. You don't want to put them next to heating or cooling ducts. You want them to be in that stable environment where the temperature is controlled in order to allow them to properly acclimate. Now you want to leave those planks inside the carton. That way you ensure that they remain clean. You don't want to get dust and dirt or anything else contaminating the grip strip, because if you contaminate the grip strip, obviously it's not going to stick properly. Now there's an installation specifications chart in the owner's manual, the full manual, and I'll show you how to get to that here in a second, but you want to be sure to look that over as well, as this is just a quick start guide. And the next step, you want to prepare your subfloor, and here it talks about how you want to make sure that your subfloor is clean, that you don't want it to slope more than 1 inch in every 6 feet. And down here it actually gives you examples of what you should do for each type of subfloor. And the first one is concrete. And one thing that I've noticed, there have been a lot of issues with customers who install it and think that allure is completely waterproof. And the fact of the matter is, allure is really water resistant. It's not meant to withstand holding water for long periods of time. So, it's not flood proof. It's not meant to be a waterproofing material or a solution for moisture. If you have a moisture issue, you want to make sure that you take care of that moisture issue before installing allure. That way you can ensure that everything goes well with your allure installation. So make sure that you test for moisture if you're going to install allure. And there's more information in this section on that issue. Now we go down and there are all these other types of flooring, so be sure to look after that. And finally, in this section here, you'll start to get into the actual installation. And again, it goes through all the steps about planning your layout, laying your first row, and here's some pictures for you. And you have laying the rest of the rows, how to get the rest of the rows in there, what to do for irregular objects, undercutting door casings, and finally what to do when you're finished. Again, I just want to stress how important it is that you apply the appropriate amount of pressure to the seams of these planks to allow for the grip strips to really adhere. Now here on step 4, you can see it's recommended that you roll your new floor. So if you don't have a floor roller, it's a good idea to rent one so that you can really ensure that you have that pressure down on those planks and everything is sealed properly. And finally, on this last page, it gives more information specific to allure tile. So if you got the tile, there are specific instructions here. And then more information about allure hidden transition strips. And finally, if you have any questions, contact your local Home Depot rep or give the manufacturer a call, and here's the number here. Now again, as I showed you, there's also the support center at mydiygenius.com, and we'll go back to that right now. Here we are here, and this is the post that we just looked at. Now, in the video, I mentioned that there is the official manual available for download, and the way that you get to that, there are a couple ways. If you're in this post right now, you can just click right here where it talks about the mydiygenius.com resources page. And you can click that link and it will take you to the resources page, and there are all sorts of product brochures, and here are the installation and owner's manuals right down here. So all you would have to do is click on one of these links. Another way to get to this page is if you just go to mydiygenius.com, which here's the home page, you can simply click on resources, and you'll get to the resources page here. So that's it. I hope your TrafficMaster allure Gripstrip installation goes really well, and I hope that this video showed you how to find that important information that you need to make sure that the job's done right the first time. So be sure to check out mydiygenius.com, visit the support center, and I hope you have a great project. Take care.